Jataka literature, then you increasingly realize it's not necessary that Gahapati is the same as the Sanskrit Grihapati. The Pali Gahapati that is being used perhaps has a different meaning. Different meaning because you just don't say that Grihapati Gahapati ek hi cheez hai. You try to contextualize your evidence. Context you understand that you are reading supposing you are standing at some point away from the canteen and the canteen two people are talking. If they happen to be loud mouths, and then they talk with all kinds of gestures. You may misinterpret that. लड़ाई कर रहे हैं. It may not be लड़ाई actually. If you go nearer, you find that that's the way they behave themselves, that's the way they talk to each other. It's not necessarily लड़ाई, like any normal discussion is happening. Therefore, you need to go closer and see it in context. Therefore, contextualizing is important. And so similarly, when you start contextualizing this term Gahapati in a different context that term appears in literature, they realize Gahapati is an economic term. It's economic term like class. Class, all of you understand. There's the rich class, there's the poor class, there's the bourgeoisie, there's the proletariat. So it's a class category. So the term Gahapati is what you call economic term, it's economic category. All rich people, from the time of the Buddha down to the early century AD, were known as Ghapatis. That the rich trader, the rich banker, the absentee landlord, important members of the Kshatriya, the Varna, and the Brahmana Varna, they were all called under the category called Gahapati. So the meaning changes. So the point is, depending on how you look at the sources, there are also meanings of the way you use sources will also start changing. So that's what you can do with different kinds of literature. Similarly, you at some point, say 1940s and 50s, when people looked at something like Kalidasa's writing, whether it's Shakuntala or any other writing that you pick up from Kalidas. So there was a large nice literature being produced, and this kind of been enacted into dramas or plays, and so that's how it was. But increasingly, historians are doing different kinds of things with texts like Kalidas, for example, or many of you would know Bhanabhatta's Hasacharita. So this nice thing, it's a story of part of Harsha's life that Bhanabhatta is writing, because Harsha happened to be Bhanabhatta's patron. Increasingly what people say, there are other kinds of things that will come in there. Other kinds of things that will come in is that, look at those literature closely, what you'll find is that a story of habitation or settled areas and the territorial jungle comes through. That what would life be in the forest or the jungle or the aranya, whatever you call it, or how life would be in a settled area, which is normally called Kshetra or Janapada. If you don't want those terms, you say the settled area and the forest. That life in the forest is like this, life in settled area.
You must have
like
studied
this.
all this in 7th also, Kshatras, Janapadas. We have all this in 7th history.
So that you have a sense of this is how it is. This is how it is, but not necessarily is the forest and the settled area in opposition to each other. They are in a constant dialogue. What is the forest today could become a part of this habitation tomorrow. And therefore, there is a continuous dialogue between the forest and this. So the point is, what you saw in this literature and used them as sources in the 40s and 50s, thought them to be nice literary products written by this poet or that particular learned man. The way you look at those texts today would be different. You will try to see this is how life was, this is the relationship between the forest and the habitation, this is what we can talk about, that's what we can do. Further, if you push those kinds of sources a little more, there are people who say that Shakuntala all of us know, because but the Shakuntala story, when you look at it, it has been rewritten, retold on several occasions. This is several occasions, the original formulation of Shakuntala comes in the Vedic literature. The second formulation of Shakuntala comes in Kalidasa's writing. Then Shakuntala is translated into Brajbhasha. Brajbhasha is Mathura ke aaspaas jo language bolte hain, that's Brajbhasha. Shakuntala is translated under the Mughals into Persian. And ultimately Tagore also writes something on Shakuntala. But the point is, look at the Shakuntalas across the board, you find that the core of the story remains the same. But the characterization of Shakuntala keeps changing with time. The Shakuntala that you have in the Vedic literature is a far more stronger personality. is a personality who is having a debate with Dushyanta. When Dushyanta says, I don't know who you are, that's where, what you call it, she has a debate with Dushyanta in defense of her right as a woman, in defense of her right for the child. Whereas by the time you reach Kalidasa Shakuntala, Shakuntala is a more submissive character. Whatever the husband does, the poor lady listens to her and doesn't have the courage to speak up. As you go into, for example, the Brajbhasha, the Persian versions, you find the kind of Laila Majnun stories you have, that kind of a shy and very vulnerable kind of a Shakuntala, that is the depiction that comes in. Look at Tagore's version, that what Shakuntala has done, that what you call, the marriage form, which is not sanctified, because it's a marriage without the sanction of the parents on both sides, and therefore this is not a proper marriage. Therefore, to Tagore it appears that Shakuntala has what you call fallen in esteem, and so she becomes a patita. So the point is that Shakuntala's story, you just don't treat it as a story, you see it in different texts. You will find the same thing will be used for different purposes. That with changing times, the characterization of Shakuntala changes. That the societies in which the text is written, depending on the value system of that society, the characterization of Shakuntala also changes. Therefore, from a strong personality, you come into a personality that is domesticated to somebody who is considered to have fallen from basic morals or values and so on. So the point is, you have the same source material, but the ways in which you use the source can keep changing with time. And therefore, the sources are there, but not necessarily that the questions that you ask to the sources are only one. Questions are not the same all through. The question that you ask from the sources, say 1950, what you do in 1970, what you do in 2000, the questions can vary. So depending on the question that you put to the sources, the methods that you employ to understand those sources, then the answers will be different. And so what I'm saying, that story can be brought beautifully from other kinds of sources. For example, all of you all know the inscriptions. Now, for a long time, people thought that inscription are a different kind of source material that we have. So what you have in texts, like a Shakuntala or a living text or Diganikaya or whatever, it's not the same, it's different. The reason people thought that inscriptions are a little difficult to write. Because whether it's on a copper plate or some stone, when you engrave, it's a difficult business, so you will engrave only that part which is absolutely necessary. You will not bring in the elaboration in a text. You can keep on writing on it. If you can write 4 pages to describe a particular garden or anything else. But you can't write 4 pages. You have to wind up that whole story in 2 lines and engrave on an inscription. And therefore the inscriptions are more truthful. They have what you call matter of fact treatment of things, and therefore perhaps more reliable. Because when you destroy a thing in 4 pages, Ada jhoot, ada sach, okay, you can do all kinds of stuff. But in engrave, you have because the brevity that's being introduced, therefore you are more closer to truth. That's how you look at it. But then gradually, people thought, if you live in the last 15, 20 years, if you see, you will find people saying, no, it's not like that. Inscriptions also need to be treated as some kind of text only. Because the question that you ask to text, similar thing you have to ask the inscription also. Now, what are the kinds of questions you ask for the text? When you want to take evidence from a text, whether it's Banabhatta's Hasacharita or whether it is some Buddhist Sangha literature, you ask, what is the nature of literature? Who is the fellow who is writing this? What is his link with the central character? Which age does he come from? And these questions are important. When you ask these questions, then you get to understand or appreciate your source material. Because a text from 6th century AD and a text from 16th century AD will not tell us the same thing. 6th century AD, our geographical knowledge, the kinds of issues that we are conversant with or familiar with, will be of a different kind than what will be in 16th century. What I'm saying, for example, you might be knowing about a text called Brihad Samhita. Bharami wrote Brihad Samhita. You know Abul Fazl. Abul Fazl wrote Ain Akbari. In Ain Akbari, you get a picture of India going almost up to Karnataka. From the north, almost up to Karnataka, that picture get in Brihat Samhita. Brihat Samhita is largely centered in North India. The reason being